Thanks for staying with us, everyone. We're back on the plateau where we're looking at development in that situation. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tari Lagwaja, has also called on citizens across the 17 council areas of the state to support troops of Operation Safe Haven with credible information and intelligence in order to enable them succeed in their mission of restoring peace and normalcy in that part of the country. Very quickly, Doctor, you were talking about how far away we are from
state of emergency is not something you rush into. It's a constitutional matter. Don't forget that the implication of state of emergency is that the state governor will be out and the federal government and National Assembly will take over the affairs of that state. It simply means that peace has broken down irretrievably, irresolvably, and the crises there are so irreconcilable to the extent that even the government at that point in time can no longer perform its legislative and executive duties. It's only on that ground that you talk about bringing in or invoking the provision of the Constitution on emergency rule. For now, you can see that even the governor is up and doing in terms of seeking support from the federal government, even going to the place and all those stuff like that. I think the whole thing now bogs down to what extent can the country empower state governments to be able to superintend over the affairs of their internal security.
Indeed.
That would help a lot as it is now. We've been talking about state policing. To what extent are we ready to compromise? Forget about the fears that we say are associated with state policing and all those stuff like that. You talk about funding. Many of the state government, as we speak today, they have paramilitary forces. The only thing is that they don't bear arms. They pay them. So the issue of funding is out of it. You talk about using it against political enemies, whether they have their own standing army or not. Some have their own private militias. Some can even use the police. We've heard of stories before now that police have been used. It's just a matter of who is at the helm of affair and who is deploying who.
After all, they're using thugs, whether they're using thugs, whether they wear uniforms or not.
Thank you.
Just hold that thought for a minute. Let's talk to Reverend Dominic, who's called in from Alimosho. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Tony.
Good morning, Reverend. It's a pleasure. Compliment of the season, sir.
Same to you, sir. Let me stand on what George has said about the two great men of our father and the brother have passed on. The governor, the former governor of Ondo State, and the last speaker, Tony. So let me express my fears. I think the general will understand what I'm trying to say. My fears is this, Tony, and Nigerians, that one day, these our brothers and sisters who is fighting for us in the bush, the military, will not say one day enough is enough, I'm not fighting again. Why did I say that? Tony, if you listen to the governor of Plateau State, he said these men have been living in primary school in these communities for too long, that they need a political will to chase them away, which means the people who commit this crime have been living in organized primary schools in some local governments in the Plateau State. They've been known for years, but the last administration and their spokesperson used to tell us that the achievement of this last government by Buhari against the terrorists, that there's no more space in Nigeria where these terrorists are holding forth. But the governor of Plateau State said that many local governments and the schools in this local government were occupied by these men for many years, which means we know that we need a political will. What it suggests to me that these soldiers have been blackmailed. They are ready to fight. Nigeria Army is the strongest in Africa. They have gone to the whole world and came back with trophy. What I'm trying to say is this, that if we give them all that it takes, which we have given to them, the equipment, and ask them to work as a military, these young boys or men who have no balance, who have no helicopter, who have no horses or vehicle, cannot defeat the Nigerian Army. It takes political will. That political will is that the politician will say to Nigerians, enough is enough.
All right.
And again, what is wrong with us with numbers? So that this morning call 150 number, 150. Governor say 50. Guidance say 115. What is wrong with Nigeria with number? That we cannot say it is 10, it's 1, it's 2. What is wrong with us?
I don't think it's only Nigeria. You know, if you follow the Israel-Gaza war too, you'll find out that, you know, like you said, there's a political will to tamper with numbers. But Group Captain, maybe the right expression is not a state of emergency, but this is an emergency where you consider the number of, you know, people who are dying, you know, by the day. How much of involvement, how much of weight do you see the federal government, you know, bear on this? What do you think must be done differently as a matter of urgency?
What must be done differently is for the security, is for the political masters to really, you know, raise their game in supervising all the security agencies. There should be reward for performance, and there should be punishment for failure. That is one. Secondly, no matter how we look at it, no matter how people talk about use technology, the issue is that this kind of conflicts that we have, you need the physical presence of soldiers or police or DSL or civil defense in a large number to dissuade, you know, bad guys from attacking good guys. You need that number. We do not have that number. Now we are saying, we are hearing that the president or the chief of army staff has said more numbers there. We are going to pull that numbers from another area where there's also a security challenge and carry them to Plateau. The people in that area you are living who also want to attack will go there. So while I recognize the importance of technology, modern technology and all that, there are things that only the physical presence of human beings can get. Only we do not have enough of this number. We do not have enough of this. And we have been saying that since when Boko Haram started. But we have not seen a concerted effort of recruiting these numbers. When the Nigerian Civil War started, the whole of Nigerian army is just one division. But within 2 years, we had like 3 or 4 divisions. I do not see that political will of increasing numbers. Numbers is what we need, apart from other things. And then, like I said, put reward and punishment. If a commander is failing in a particular area, there should be either the least you can do is to relieve him of command and put somebody. The kind of long responses we are seeing is not acceptable. But to hold the security forces for low responses, government again must ensure that they give them mobility assets, must ensure they give them these required numbers we need, must ensure that they give them communication equipment. And when I talk of mobility assets, I'm talking of vehicles, if possible helicopters. But when you have vehicles, again, like anybody can tell you, sometimes when you see a group of policemen with one vehicle, maybe it's just half a gallon that is inside that vehicle. That is to say, if there is any call to go 2 kilometers, they cannot go. So all these things combine to make sure, because honestly, what pains me is to see that every time we say there's this attack. Okay, the last attack now, from your report, you are saying that, I don't think even one attacker was killed. They got their phones, their mobile. That is to say, the security forces arrive after the people have left. They have left. So it's really sort. But we should not be saying security. We are in a democracy. In a democracy, there's what they call democratic control of the armed forces. What does it say? The power to tell the military, to equip the military, to hold them responsible, to punish and to reward is in the hand of the elected representative of the people, from the president to the state governor to the national assembly members. They have the power. So it's not as if they are powerless. They are not powerless. Like in the last administration, I hear National Assembly after failures, they will say, we passed a vote of no confidence. No, check the constitution. They have more powers to do what they can do about the security forces that fail. It's not as if they are powerless. They are not powerless.
I hear you,
and I do not see them doing their work.
I hear you, Group Captain. You know, like they say, their constitutional duty is to provide security and welfare for the people. Johnson has called in. Good morning, Johnson.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead with your contribution.
My heart goes to the family of the departed. May their soul rest in peace. I want to say categorically that the people of the Plateau, first, they need unity. There should be unity among them. And they should learn to also organize themselves properly so that they can face external aggressions. That is one. Hello?
I'm with you. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Secondly, I want to say whatever the military or our security forces are doing presently, it is clear to everybody that they are not doing enough. If they are doing enough, we will not have a recurrence of this in Borno, in Plateau, in Benue. We should not be having this. If they are doing enough, they are not doing enough. Let's accept that. And we should let them know that they are not doing enough. And thirdly, the local people, security is about the locals. The people that you are attacking you, they know you, they are not strangers from anywhere. They are people that are close nearby. So we should make everybody, every community should ensure that they monitor people around them and their activities, and they should report same to the security forces. The governor said that the people are living in security in schools. Has he reported that to the security forces?
All right.
He has reported. Then what did the security people do about it?
Thank you.
You don't have to believe all that the governor is saying.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. I believe you made your point very clearly. We've talked about the trust deficit between the community and the security forces, which also largely impacts on the capacity of the military to do their job if the people can't trust them enough with the information and intelligence that they would need. But then you also begin to look at the need for us to start looking at, the approach to things differently from what it's been. The group captain has talked a lot about this and what must be done differently. But moving forward, he's also now introduced the fact that we can't say it's the security, we can't say that the governor, doesn't have the capacity. He was elected to do this, right? And perhaps it's also going to be a matter of an electoral value, his capacity to bring this in and move ahead and forge ahead. Let's begin to wrap this up and begin to talk about how can we achieve progress without justice? Because people are talking about unity amongst the Plateau people. Can there be unity if people who have perpetrated this level of injustice are not brought to book?
Unity without justice. But I think the first question should be justice from who? This set of people we are talking about, do you know them? Do you know where they stay? Is there any wire that you can link to say these people are from this place or this community? Now, this is a combination of guerrilla warfare and asymmetric warfare. Now, at times they stay among the people. At times you also see them hit and run, like you have recently. Now, what they have succeeded in doing, it's to also put fear in the people to the extent that even though you know me, and you are seeing me, and you know what I am doing or what I do, you dare not talk to anybody about it. Now, that fear is over time, because community leaders that have dared to rebel were killed, whether religious or community leaders, as a deterrent, an example to those that will want to sell them out.
Indeed.
Now the issue will now be there should be a counter operation by the security agencies to build trust in the people to the extent that the people now trust them with information and intelligence. Because as it is now, people have not been able to entrust that, because every time they do that, the villages end up being attacked. People end up being killed in that same village. So even though they know that they are in X and Z primary school, they know it, but they won't say anything. That is one area. Now, with respect to capacity and capability of the governor does not have the capacity. It is the federal government that has the capacity.
In this regard? In
this regard. Not the governor. Not the governor. What can he do? Because you are talking of war against people that are armed, deadly, and cruel. It's not a matter of grammar. I heard him when he was saying enough is not enough. And my mind was, what are you going to do now? You are going to do next to nothing.
You mean it can't empower the police?
How? If he's going to empower the police, he can empower the police by helping them to get vehicles. He can't buy arms for them. That's federal government responsibility in terms of arms. Maybe he can give money to say, please go and buy arms and all those stuff like that. That's whether the arms, will be to specification and law is at the prerogative of the police. You understand? Or the military. You give them money, you donate money and all those stuff like that. That is to what extent you can go. You can buy vehicle and all those stuff like that. But it is the federal government that has the final authority to say, indeed, I want this thing to stop finally. And if not so, Lagbaja, all other service chief, I want your letter of resignation letter in the next X and Z hour. If this thing did not stop, I bet you, like one of the callers said, I bet you the military and the police, they have the capacity and capability to deal with all these forces.
All right.
But the political will is what we expect.
Group Captain, we have to go now. I'd like to hear your conclusion on this matter. What would you be your final remarks, so to speak?
There is need for honest and very sincere conversation among all the stakeholders in Plateau. A clear and very honest conversation between the security agencies and the political masters. What are they liking that is making them not to perform? Finally, on the last caller who said that he remarked, and that caught my attention, about when the governor said there are schools. I have that actually. He said there are schools being occupied by bandits for several years. This is why it was for several years. And to be honest, that if we are to believe what the governor said, you will wonder if there are schools being occupied for several years by bandits, what did the governor do? What did the local government chairman do? I don't think they are helpless to just watch bandits occupying their school for several years. So in looking for this conversation, please, let's not exaggerate. Let's remain within the facts. Let's talk honestly, and I'm sure we can find the solutions why our security forces are not acting timeously to stop this kind of killings and murders that we're seeing. That's all I have to say.
Well, our hearts are with victims of the attacks in Mango, Bokos, and Barkin-Ladi local government areas, where we understand that the death toll has now risen to as high as 150. We're looking forward to some more urgent and decisive decisions from government and intervention in this regard. Group Captain Sadiq Galbrashir was former Deputy Head of Security at African Union Commission. He's also adjunct professor, George C. Marshall European Center for Security Studies in Germany, and is now a private security and defense consultant and trainer. Thank you so much for talking to us on the program this morning. And right here with me in the studio, I've been speaking with Dr. Tony Foyeton, who is Director General, International Institute of Professional Security. Dr. Tony, it's glad to have you on the program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, and I wish Lagosians and Nigeria a very prosperous 2024.
Hopefully, we'll get some, more cheering news. It hasn't been much of good news today.
We really hope so.
From one death to the other.
Maybe something like a very big alert in our account.
Maybe that would cheer us up.
That would cheer us up. So, Mr. President, I think that is for him.
To send a lot to every Nigerian.
Every Nigerian.
Come on.
A minimum of 100,000. It's not too much.
Okay, copy Governor Fubara. That's what you're saying. That's our show this morning, everyone. The conversation continues on X, formerly Twitter.